Yes, Sir Hairless here. Gabriel Henrique, Die With a Smile. I received quite a lot of recommendations for this one recently. It's a cover of a fairly new song by Bruno Mars and Lady Gaga, which I really like. And because it's a new song, it's one of Gabriel's newer videos. He uploaded it only a couple of months ago. Bruno Mars has an insane voice, as does Lady Gaga, but for a man, and in terms of range, Gabriel is one of the few men on the planet who can really give it a go, who are well suited to sing a Bruno Mars song. I love the song, so let's get straight into this one. Oh, and yes, whilst I have your attention, before you continue with this video, please watch my video on the original song. The thumbnail's here, the card for it is up here, and I will leave a link to that video in the pinned comment below. I talk about the song in detail, the harmony, the structure, the rhythm, so I'm not going to do that in this video, I imagine. There's not much point in me repeating myself when I've already done a video on it. So please do check that out. I'm sure it will help with understanding the song a bit better and maybe some of the decisions Gabriel makes here. I don't know what he's going to do, so I am curious, so let's find out. I know most of you watching won't check out my other video, which is fine. You're here to watch Gabriel. So I'm going to include a 1-minute clip now. If it interests you, then please go ahead and watch the video. If not, then you can go to the timestamp to start the Gabriel reaction. But Bruno, with his very high chest voice, he switches very obviously from his chest voice into his head voice and then back down. So onto the harmony. What's really interesting is every single chord we've heard so far, pretty much, is a 7th chord. To explain what a 7th chord is, we'll use the chord A as an example. There are 8 notes in between, which is 1 octave. So this is note 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Your standard chord is notes 1, 3, and 5. There you can see A major. And then a 7th chord is where you just have the 7th note in there as well. A major 7. So the 7th note is right from the off. Listen how prominent it is. It's the loudest note. Dum, dum. And then when it changes chord, that's this note, which is the 7th note of the chord it changes to. So these 7th notes, they're not even subtle, they're just very obvious, in your face. We alternate between these two 7th chords for the whole first verse. And then for the pre-chorus bit, we get some new chords in there. It's that bit where we stop returning to that same note for the first time.
Wherever you go, that's where I'll follow. Nobody's promised tomorrow.
The note that we were constantly returning to earlier, the C sharp, why it's funny that now is the time we stop returning to it is because of the... Okay, now for Gabriel's cover, let's see what he does here.
I just woke up from a dream where you and I had to say goodbye, when I don't know what it all means, but since I survived I realized wherever you go, that's where I follow. Nobody's promised tomorrow, so I'm alone here every night like it's the last night, like it's the last night. If the world was empty, I don't wanna be next to you. If the party was over and our time enough was through,
That is Lady Gaga's verse in the original song. Now, 1.5 minutes in, let's do our first pause here, go over some of what we've heard. If you don't want to hear me talking, go to the timestamp. I just love the song. I love the song. Gabriel has, like we've seen with his other videos on my channel, he's kept the same arrangement. It's the same backing instrumentation. So there are no differences in that regard to talk about. Like I say, in my video on the original song, I go over absolutely everything in that one. The first melodic change he makes actually is right just before we paused. In the original, at that same moment, that classic that we've heard so much before. So Gabriel is introducing some new melodic ideas into there, and it's a great way for him to show off that lovely, delicate, huge range of his head voice here. And it's funny because that's not even the most impressive part, at least to me. It's moments like this.
I don't wanna be next to you.
Such ease, the high chest voice into the change into the head voice for the top little note, and then back down into the chest voice. It is what Bruno Mars does as well, which is really helped or exaggerated by the backing harmonies higher up. Interestingly, there are no backing harmonies in this. The original song, Bruno Mars and Lady Gaga and backing vocals. So I'm wondering, is this just going to be Gabriel singing one line without any harmony? Or will they use Lady Gaga as harmony or Bruno at certain points, depending? I don't know who has mixed this for him. Audio engineering is a scary beast. That's far beyond my understanding, how people can isolate one vocal line or just the instruments. Crazy stuff. So that's what I will be looking out for. In terms of the melody, as I said, Gabriel doesn't change the melody. He hasn't really so far at all, except for that high bit in his head voice. And like I mentioned in my original video, it's one of the most important things, I think, is there's a reason the melody is the way it is. It constantly returns to one note, always returning to this C sharp. In other words, constantly returning here has a really important harmonic role, how it affects the harmony, how it changes the harmony, or doesn't change it. So quite strangely, I feel there is opportunity here, both to adjust the melody, change it, and come up with a completely new idea, or keep it as it is. He's chosen to keep it as it is, which I think is a good decision. I'll be partly biased because I love the original song, and I think it's really, really well written. And I imagine Gabriel does too, and that's why he's one, chosen to cover it, but two, not change it. The one thing I will mention, like I have done in my previous videos on Gabriel, because he's using the same arrangement, it sounds like the audio quality isn't quite as crisp in the backing instruments as in the original. For example, this moment is very important in terms of harmony. Again, I talk about why in my original video if you're interested, but there's this one line that we hear. A suspension messing with our concept of major versus minor. We can't really hear it here. Which for me is a small negative, but the positive is Gabriel's voice is much more at the forefront. We can really hear his power and, you know, he's loving it singing up there in his chest voice. As always, he's choosing when or when not to use vibrato. For example, here the phrase starts with a straight tone, no vibrato, no wobbles. And there on the word party, that's really cool. I don't know what he does here. Really cool, almost like a rock effect.
I wanna be next to you.
All right, let's carry on. I imagine Bruno Mars is probably someone Gabriel looks up to or looked up to a lot growing up. Like I said, there are probably not that many men on the planet who can sing Bruno Mars songs because of their style, how high they are in chest voice. Gabriel is certainly one of them, so I love that he is choosing to cover this song. Let's carry on. So he's harmonizing with himself.
That's what I'll follow. Nobody's promised tomorrow. wanna be next to you, right next to you, next to you. Ooh, ah.
Okay, approaching the end. There were some things that I just quickly like to go over, so let's go over them before carrying on until the end. Quickly, before I forget, there was this one moment. As you know, I choose not to talk about accents in my videos. Singing in a foreign language should be appreciated. I'm not going to spend time talking about accent differences. If I were to speak another language, I would not speak it perfectly or pronounce things perfectly. It's very rare for people to do that. And Gabriel's English is not perfect, it's not. But I really like it. I really like some of the affectations that are brought about through his accent, such as here on the words "I'd wanna be." I don't wanna be. The result of that is like another syllable, another note is added in, cha 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 cha, and it gives it this kind of cha 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 feel. Do you know what I mean? I really like it. That stood out to me, and I like it. And closely related, the next line, "If the party was over." Let's listen to the rhythms here in the original.
If the party was over.
If the party was over. Cha 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 cha. Very regimented, equal rhythms.
If the party was over.
Da 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 da. Gabriel very nicely put some syncopations in there. It's a subtle change, but enough to change the style of the chorus. Also, as he's singing with himself in harmony in the background, very nice touch, and you can just hear how much fun he would have had recording that, especially the backing part, which tends to be higher up, so a bit more extreme. And the rhythm in that part is also changed, a double effect.
Ooh. If the party was over and my time with love was through.
And there the backing part comes off a bit before Gabriel's main melody, which allows for him to do a little run down in the main melody at the end. In his chest voice, of course. And here again, we can hear the slight rhythmic differences between the backing part and the melody. Again, it's a touch that I do like. It makes it really natural sounding. That is so high. These two notes here are just one note above this note, which is the wow operatic tenor moment, as I call it. And we even get a tiny little, almost like a crack, which to me shows passion, you know, emotional connection to the singing. I personally feel that Gabriel is a bit more emotionally connected to this song than some of the other ones that I've seen him do. Not by much, but a little bit. I think he really, really loves this song. The example that comes to mind is his America's Got Talent performance, Something Beautiful. And you will let me know in the comments that he was kind of forced to sing it, not a song he wanted to sing, which is quite unfair in my opinion, but it's good to see he didn't let that affect him. He's come back and now he's releasing videos on his YouTube. Is this his house, by the way? It looks very nice, very clean and orderly and well kept. I also like how he kept in this bit. I'll play the original quickly first. I think that's my favorite bit in the original song. At least it's the most catchy bit, where Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars sing in octaves on Just for a While. Gabriel did keep that in.
I wanna hold you just for a while.
Very softly as well. The phrase before that in the backing part, very powerful.
I wanna hold you.
In that blended voice, intense vibrato. Yeah, I am liking this so far. Just before we carry on, just before we paused, this is the first real significant change. I was expecting more changes from Gabriel. I'm going to call them his Mariah Carey moments. I've been told he's inspired by her greatly, and we can hear it in his singing. So this part. Because in the original, what happens? And then there's a reverb effect, so that Those two notes are repeated over and over. So technically, I guess there's no first hand singing. Gabriel honors that. He doesn't sing here. He stands here and stares quite intensely into the camera. Which surprised me a little bit. I thought he might do some vocalizations. We know he can, but this is certainly not a complaint from me. In my opinion, I'm very happy with this decision. I love the original song. So another reason I thought we'd get something is just before that, he does another small riff.
Next to you.
Which is not in the original song. All right, let's carry on until the end.
If the world was ending, I don't wanna be next to you. If the party was over and our time enough was true, I'd wanna hold you just for the while and die with a smile. If the world was ending, I don't wanna be next to you. If the world was ending, I don't wanna be next to you. I don't wanna be next to you.
Yeah, I feel it wouldn't be a Gabriel cover if he didn't finish in his own style there. Which has a certain harmonic implication, again, compared to the original.
Be next to you.
Finishing on that major seventh, which makes up such a core part of the song. Not too much more to say. The last section was a bit more powerful, more of the backing voice, and he was just really enjoying it. He did make one, it might not seem significant, but to me it stood out, maybe because I listened to the original song so much, and I was always singing the higher part. Let's listen to the higher part here.
Take you.
Gabriel changes it.
Next to you.
Instead of at the end. And this is another example of playing around with minor versus major, which we do get in the original song a fair few times. Well, let's leave that one there. I really enjoyed that. I like the original song. I think Gabriel honored the original song. He didn't make as many changes as I thought he might have or could have, but the changes he did make were subtle. I like how he recorded the harmony part as well, really taking on the role of both Bruno Mars and Lady Gaga. Very few men on the planet who can do that. So yeah, a great song, a great cover, and a great choice by him with his great voice. Let me know in the comments how this performance by Gabriel compares to his other ones, which ones you'd like to see me do in the future, and as always, thank you very much for watching. Would appreciate a like and subscribe. If you'd like to support me, you can donate me a hot chocolate at the Buy Me a Coffee linked below, or if you'd like to join the community, get access to exclusive content not on YouTube, you can join the Patreon linked on the screen now, and I will see you next time.